Hi everyone, FPL Matt Day here, and welcome to the live Game Week 2 deadline stream. We've got 1.5 hours to go until deadline. Tonight it's myself, Matt. I'm going to be joined by Quentin from the FPL Amateurs of Aus shortly. He's just running a bit late. Before we start the stream, if you could just like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, that would be great. All my social media handles are FPL Matt Day as well. So if you want to go and give me a follow on there as well. So tonight we'll be going through my Scout 11, which I'll bring up shortly, my team and my transfer. We'll also have some live questions from our viewers in the comments, which I'll bring up as we go through the stream. I've got a couple of questions that have come through on the Instagram as well that I'll answer before the end of the show. And then when Q jumps on, we'll preview the fixtures, go through them, give you some players from each fixture that we've got our eyes on, and then we'll proceed with the live questions. And then we'll probably look to wrap it up within the hour so you can get all of your transfers done before the deadline. So the deadline is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Australia, which is 11 a.m. UK time, and that's 6 p.m. Western Australia time as well for our viewers in WA. So let's get underway. I'm going to share my my Scout 11 to begin with, and we'll go through that. And if there's anyone you think I've missed out, let me know in the comments. We'll bring your comments up. We'll go through that, and I'll just talk through player by player, and then from there I'll go through my my team and transfer. Welcome Damo, FPL West Ham in the stream. Welcome, mate. If you've got any questions, ask away. You'll be pleased to know there's definitely some West Ham coverage in the Scout 11 as well tonight. And just if any viewers are wondering, I've been a bit sick in the last couple of days, so yeah, I probably look a little bit tired and sound a little bit sick, but look, I'm still ready for a big night of FPL and a big game week 2 ahead. I can't wait for it. So let's start off with my Scout 11. I'm going to share screen, and we will go through. This is a squad as well. So this I'll do this every week on the stream. So this will be my squad and my Scout 11 within the £100 million budget. Fingers crossed it can beat the average. I try to make sure it beats the average score every week. We'll see what you viewers think of this team. So let's bring up the team, and I'll share it with you guys. Here it is. I hope you can see that on the screen. It's just a bit of a snippet. It's a bit of a snippet job, but the team is there. I've said we've got a question. We've actually got a question already in the chat, which I will bring up. I'll tell you what, I'll bring that up when we go through the man in question. There's been a question about Haaland already, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer that question when we discuss Haaland in the Scout 11. So as you can see, here's my Scout 11. In goal, I've gone with Edison from Man City. Bournemouth at home. I think it's quite self-explanatory on that one. He kept a clean sheet last week. It's the best defence in the league. They keep plenty of clean sheets. You'd expect them to keep one on this newly promoted side. Look, Scott Parker, good coach. Bournemouth like to play some free flowing stuff. I do like them, but it's Man City. They're the best team in the league. So I think Edison, at his price of 5.5, he's the goalkeeper for me this week in this Scout 11. And then I've gone with a back four. So as you can see, a 4-4-2, a very traditional, old school English formation. We'll start with Zinchenko, that the Arsenal man who got 12 points last week. He's got a home game against Leicester. I don't necessarily think Arsenal are going to keep a clean sheet in this one. I think, Leicester are going to attack like they do every week. It's Brendan Rodgers who's in charge. But I think with his 12 points last week, the way he attacked, the way he put that header across for Martinelli for the first goal, I think for 5 mil, he fits the Scout 11 nicely. Just before we move on to the next defender, I'll just say hello to FPL Planner. Thanks for joining the stream, mate. This is the Scout 11. So for the viewers that just tuned in now, I see a few people just joined the stream. This is the current Scout 11. And the next one is Aaron Cresswell from West Ham. He goes into there for me. For those that were playing fantasy a couple of years ago, we know how good Aaron Cresswell is. Take set pieces, really big threat. likes bonus points. I think West Ham are going to go here and get the win. I know they've had injuries. I know they lost last week in the opening game, but it was against Man City. Forest didn't really look too impressive. I think this is a really good game for West Ham to get their first win of the season, and for their FPL players to get some points on the board. So Cresswell's in there, hoping he might be a bit of a set piece threat, grab an assist, and then alongside him, Man City double up Walker to go with Edison. We saw Walker last week, 6 points in the bag. That was clean sheet. Looks like he's going to start games at the moment. But that might change in future game weeks. But I think for this week in a Scout 11, he's a pretty safe bet. And then we've got Robertson on the far side, who's in my team. Obviously, I'll go through my team and transfer after the Scout 11. I think Robertson against Palace at home. These are the games. If you're a Robertson owner, these are the games you want to own him in, and this is why we've got him in our teams at 7 mil. These games against Palace are the sort of games you expect Robertson, clean sheet, maybe a goal or an assist. I'm expecting double digits from him this week, so fingers crossed Liverpool can put a better performance in than what they did last week. So we'll see how that goes. So that's the back four. We have got a couple more questions actually that have come in. So like I mentioned before, with the Haaland stuff, questions, I'll bring that up when we go through the strikers. I'll just intro PSB into the stream. I'm doing quite well, PSB. I've been sick this week, so I'm just recovering. So it could be better. KDB, look, I think he's a great shout this weekend. He doesn't make the Scout 11, and that's just because I didn't have the money. This is within the budget, and I had to fit Haaland in there. I really wanted Darwin in there, and Salah. So I'm kind of mitigating not having De Bruyne by having the two defenders there with Edison and Walker, and then Haaland's a man that we've all got to have. But I do think if you've got KDB, he's a really good second choice captain to Haaland, because he looked brilliant last week against West Ham. He was getting a lot of shots away, and he obviously made the assist. So yeah, I think he's a really, really good shout against Bournemouth. So yeah, if you've got him and you really want to try something different, then yeah, give him a go. De Bruyne has just done that. I think as well, it looks like he's got a slight positional change as well. With Bernardo Silva was obviously on the bench last week. Gundogan slotted in a little bit, deeper at times, and De Bruyne had a bit more of a free role. So I think that's going to give De Bruyne that license to, get forward and get those shots and goal. And he's going to be feeding Haaland so many good balls. So, we're going to get those assists as well. But yeah, keep the questions coming in. We'll go through to the midfield now. So in midfield, we'll start with Rodrigo, which is probably an interesting one for a lot of people, because Rodrigo obviously joined Leeds a couple of years ago. It was a big move when he joined under Bielsa. And, we all expected him to fire pretty quickly when he joined. And he was a striker, wasn't he, in the game initially? So, he didn't do anything. He didn't really get the minutes. Bielsa just didn't seem to fancy him, which was strange because, he's a big signing for Leeds at the time. And then even last year, dribs and drabs, he got his minutes. He got some goals. But Jesse Marsh, he's come out and openly spoke about Rodrigo numerous times now and said how much he likes him. He likes his work rate. He likes his eye for goal. And he did score last week in the home game against Wolves. So I'm actually really liking him this week for the Southampton game. Leeds are free-flowing. They're attacking, and Saints, they're one of those teams, like once they let 1 or 2 goals in, it turns into 3, it turns into 4. So, yeah, Rodrigo at 6 million as a midfielder, he really catches my eye because he's playing just behind Bamford. So he's almost just playing kind of in the hole. So he's going to be feeding Bamford. He's going to be getting shots on goal, arriving late in the box. So Rodrigo, he's a pick for me this week. And I think he's only about 1.6% owned. I've put him in my my 3 differentials on Twitter and Instagram. So, yeah, keep an eye out for him. I also try to get him in my draft team in one of my draft leagues, but I got beaten to him. So that's a bit of a pain. And then the next one, I've gone with Bailey. Again, this has been for price. So this Scout 11, obviously, is within the £100 million budget. And Leon Bailey's only 5 million. I think Villa against Everton, it could go either way for me. Villa didn't look good last week. Everton looked okay. They looked a bit more organised. But, you probably expect this one to be quite an open one. We saw how good Bailey was in pre-season. I'm hoping this is the game that he shows some of that pre-season form in. And I think he'll play in that front three and he'll be on the ball quite a lot. So Bailey's going in there. I think for 5 mil, he slots in there nicely. And then alongside him there, another player in claret. I've gone with Jared Bowen. So one of our watchers, Damo, who's FPL West Ham on Twitter. Give him a follow if you don't. He'll like the shout. Jared Bowen, 8.5 mil. Obviously didn't do much last week against City, but that's Man City. You know, it's the toughest game you're going to play in the league. Forest game away. He got 12 goals last season in the league. I think he was the third, or was it the fourth highest scorer midfielder. So I think he's a really, really good pick. And I'm really liking him this week. You know, if there wasn't this whole Haaland, Salah captain debate, which we knew was going to happen, I would be sort of keeping tabs on Bowen as a captain in that Forest game, because it kind of reminds me of last season. And the West Ham fans will remember this one, and so will the players that owned Bowen last season. They played Watford in the first maybe month or 2 months of the season, and West Ham come out and they absolutely hammered them. I think it was 4-1, and Bowen come out and he got, I think it was 16 points or 18 points. West Ham fans in the comments might know more than me, but he definitely got a couple of goals and assists, and yeah, he was unreal. And that kind of started the Bowen train that we saw last season. And this fixture is giving me that same feeling. So he's actually ended up in my 3 differentials as well. I think he's a really, really good pick. And if you look there as well, with Bowen, if you do have him in your side, you're getting a lot of green fixtures after that. You're getting Brighton, you're getting Villa, the derby against Spurs. You know, we know West Ham like to give us a tough time. And then even Chelsea. Like, for me, Bowen's pretty fixture proof for the most part. And then just before I talk about Salah, actually, I'll bring up a couple of comments. I've got one here from PSB. I thought Aronson looked really good against Wolves. It might come to be a very good option. And that Neto Bailey price bracket. Yeah, I agree. I thought he looked really good. He was sort of box to box. He was unlucky not to get the winning goal. I think that was actually quite a funny moment, because the ball obviously coming to the box and everyone thought Aronson had scored. There's a lot of people sort of celebrating it, but then it ended up being an own goal. But yeah, he does look good as well. I was close to doing him in this Scout 11 ahead of Rodrigo. But I just felt something with Rodrigo, and I just thought it's kind of like that midfielder who's technically a striker. And I like those types of players, so I've put him in. But yeah, I think you're right about Aronson. He could be an easy swap for, say, Neto. Like, I own Neto. And I'm hoping he can do something against Fulham this week. But if he doesn't, and that kind of drags on and leads with all these good fixtures, and the positive vibes they're getting from Jesse Marsh, then, Aronson could be a really good pick. So I do like that one. And hi Q. Yeah, Q will be joining the stream tonight. He's going to feature tonight and come on and talk through some of his differentials. So that will be good, and we'll go through some fixtures. And then a comment here from Planner. Love the Bone and Crossfire shot for this game week. Yeah, thanks. I'm really liking this fixture for West Ham against Forest. It's not so much I'm disrespecting Forest, because obviously they're newly promoted and they're a big side and they're at home and they're going to have the crowd on their side. But yeah, I'm just looking at the way they performed last week. And I just think, it's hard to look at West Ham's result last week. I think this is where West Ham's season actually starts. So yeah, I'm really big on that West Ham triple up this week. So we'll see how that goes. And we'll go to my last midfielder. It's Salah. So I couldn't really not put Salah in a Scout 11. It's very rare he leaves a Scout 11, to be honest. I think the only times he ever doesn't appear in a Scout 11 is probably against maybe Man City in the away game. But last season, I think he was probably in every Scout 11 I ever did. And the season, but to be fair, I actually can't think of many Scout 11s I've not done Salah, except maybe when he was at the AFCON. So yeah, Salah against Palace. I think we all know the stats. He scored in 7 games in a row. 4 of them were double-digit hauls. I'm pretty sure 5 were double-digit hauls, and 4 of those double-digit hauls were at home. So he's a scary prospect. He's a very, very scary prospect. And I think a lot of Liverpool fans will remember, FPL players, viewers of the stream will remember there was that game, and I know it wasn't at Anfield, which probably makes it even more scary. A couple of seasons ago, I think it was the season before last, or it could have been last season. My memory's just a bit scrambled with this illness I've had. But Salah come off the bench, and everyone who captained him was just furious. And he come off the bench, and Liverpool ended up winning the game. Was it 7-0 at Selhurst Park? He got 2 goals and an assist off the bench. So we all know what Salah's capable of. He makes his scout 11. It's Liverpool's game back at Anfield. So obviously drew last week to a newly promoted side. So, they're going to want to bounce back in front of their home fans. It's a Monday night game in England, and those Monday night games in England, you always get the crowd on your side. There's kind of a bit of a feeling in the air, and it's the last game of the game week. So, it's an exciting sort of game week to captain Salah because it goes all the way to the wire, as opposed to the man we're going to talk about shortly in Haaland, where you get the game today or tonight if you're in Australia like me, and it's kind of done, and you're either going to feel great or you're going to feel pretty average. So yeah, Salah makes the 11, and then we'll go into the 2 strikers. I will start with Núñez because I've got the Haaland question I'm still waiting to answer, and we'll end on Haaland or Haaland. I'm not sure if I got the pronunciation right, so if I got it wrong, someone can correct me in the comments. But I've gone Darwin Núñez, so I've gone triple Liverpool. So we've got Robertson, we've got Salah, and we've got Darwin. So Darwin Núñez makes up the final piece in the forward line. And I believe he price rise this week as well. So I think he's a really good shout. I think if you're one of those managers that didn't get Haaland in and you missed the price rise and you don't want to take a -4, I think you could still captain Salah and then bring in Núñez for Kane instead. Because I think Liverpool are going to score 4 goals in this game, 3 or 4 goals. And Darwin and Salah are going to be involved, or the fullbacks. I can see it being at least 4 goals. And Darwin, I know there's this Firmino-Darwin, debate, but I think Darwin just looked too good last week. That I think they'll start him. He's a big money signing. They're at home. So I'd be surprised if Liverpool don't bring him on from the start of the game. And I think he's a really good pick for this week. Really, really impressed with him. I think he's hit the ground running. I was unlucky not to even. I think he could have had 2 goals when he came on last week. He was so unlucky. He looks like he's going to be a star this season. So Darwin makes up the triple up. And now we'll move on to the big Norwegian, Haaland. And I can now bring up this question. So here we go. Actually, first, sorry, before I bring it up, we had this one here. Watch Haaland get subbed out at 45 minutes. Wouldn't put it past me, because the one thing that does scare me about owning Haaland is injuries, muscle injuries. He does pick up injuries and that type of stuff. That is one thing that scares me about captaining Haaland. Even against these teams like Bournemouth, where they've got big centre backs. And all it takes is, I know he's a big guy, Haaland, but his injury record's not great. So, that stuff does scare me and that does worry me. Whereas Salah seems a bit of a freak. Like, he rarely gets injured, other than that, that Champions League final he had. He very rarely gets injury. So that's one thing that actually does worry me about the Haaland situation. Here's a question. So FPL West Ham Damo asked, can Kane match Haaland, or shall I bite the bullet and grab him next week? Everyone knows I love Harry Kane. Like, I'm a Spurs fan, so I have to love him really. But I never had Kane from game week 1 because I never wanted to book in the transfer for Haaland in game week 2, and I kind of felt like I just had a feeling Haaland was going to just hit the ground running like he did. Can Kane match him this week? No, I don't think he can, because the fixture, like Man City's game against Bournemouth, on paper, everything about it is just an easier game. Spurs record against Chelsea, for the most part, is pretty average, especially at Stamford Bridge. Kane's record is good against them. So there is that. Like he's fixture proof for the most part. But yeah, like you got to look at it right and think, what's your prediction on that game? Probably 1-0 Chelsea or 1-1 or maybe 1-0 Spurs, which you might get a Kane go out of, which 8 or 9 points. So do you think, that's enough for your team? Like I personally would just do the Haaland move. I just wouldn't think twice, get it done. And then you can bring Kane back in, we know, what his position is, when his form's there. When we know a bit more, we already know Haaland's hit the ground running and he's scoring goals and he's got Bournemouth. So I wouldn't, I would not blink twice about making that move. So as you can see, Haaland is the final piece in this 4-4-2. Captain's armbands on him. Bournemouth at home. Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. It's been the debate all week. And it's been back and forth. And even this morning, I was sort of like, yeah, Salah's the best option. He's got this record against Palace. He's back at Anfield. But then I had a few comments on a tweet I put out, had a few different perspectives, and I thought, you know what? There's been a lot of managers that were priced out of Haaland this week when he went up by 0.1. And I thought to myself, yeah, I bought Haaland at the start of the season for these fixtures, for these games. And I've already got returns out of him. If City come out of this game with 3 goals, 4 goals, even 2 goals, I'm expecting him to score them. So, yeah, I think Haaland is the right captain this week. So the captain goes on him. So that Scout 11 is within the £100 million budget. So yeah, if you've got a few of those players, I think you could be on for a good game week. But what we'll quickly do before we go into my side, my transfer, if I've made one, and my captain, we've just got a couple more comments that have come through. So one from Fancy Amateur Oz, which could be Q or Damo. I'm not sure. Q's coming on this stream anyway shortly, but he's asking who is everyone picking to go big this week. So yeah, put your thoughts in the comment. If there's anyone that's not in this Scout 11 that you think is going to go big or you think I've missed, because we've already had Aronson from PSB, which was a really good pick. So if you've got anyone else you think might go big this week, put it down in the comments. I've not even put someone like Son in there. I know again it's a tough Chelsea game, but we saw how unlucky he was not to get a hat trick last week. He was absolutely everywhere. I've not put in obviously any United players against Brentford, like a Bruno Fernandes, or even a Ronaldo who's going to return, might potentially return into that United side tonight, and he might come out with a point to prove. Maybe we don't know. So let us know. Welcome to the stream, Shivan. Should I send my team? I need some help in defense, particularly. All right, so what we'll do, we'll get your team up. I've just seen you've just sent me your team in the comments. So if any of the viewers have any suggestions as well, happy for you to jump in the comments. But let's look at his team. So he's got Lissandro. I'm assuming Lissandro. I can only think of Lissandro Martinez. Is that the Man United Lissandro? Botman, Matip, White, Nico Williams, Salah, Kane, Haaland, Jesus, Sancho, Martinelli, Andreas Bailey, and Edison. Looking at that team, so you've got Edison in goal. Botman, you'd start him, but you don't know if he's going to play because Burn looked good last week and Shah scored. So say you had Edison and then you had a back four, Ben White, Matip, Botman, and Lissandro Martinez for Man United. You've got your back four there. And then in midfield, you've got Salah, Sancho, Martinelli. Yeah, you could probably just play those 3. And then you could go Kane, Haaland, and Jesus up front. You've got options. To be honest, I don't think you need to do much. Maybe the only one is maybe have a little look at some of the latest Newcastle news. If you think Botman's going to get in the team, if he's not, you can maybe get rid of him. You could bring in Saliba, double up on that Arsenal defense. He's not a bad option. there's players out there you could go for at that price range. So maybe he's the only one, or you could even just do a straight swap for Dan Burn, because Dan Burn, he's ex-Brighton. They play Brighton this week, and sometimes you get that, that game where an ex-player scores against their old club. So, maybe you could just do the straight swap for Dan Burn. So yeah, he might not be a bad one to look at. But yeah, there's a lot of good 4.5 million players. So Botman's probably the only one I would look at. Other than that, you could possibly leave it. And I think you could be good to go. Or you could even maybe you could even just go a 3. You could go Lissandro, Matip, Ben White, and then you could go Salah, Sancho, Martinelli, Andreas, and then you could go the front 3. Yeah, you've got options. Maybe you don't need to transfer. Just use one of your extra midfielders, because you've got Andres Pereira against Wolves, and he looked sharp last week. So I reckon find a way to get the 11 on the park, put the captain's armband on Haaland, and then just save 2 for next week. And then once we've got a bit more, knowledge on who's actually starting in the teams, then yeah, you've got 2 transfers in the bank. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that, Shivam. So yeah, good squad. And Quentin did just say as well, he's coming. He said he loves the Martinez pick, had a lot of interceptions and got on the ball a lot, which is good for bonus. Yeah, he's right. I think, ball playing defender, good on the ball. Brentford aren't the highest scoring side. So, that game could be a sort of 1-0 United, maybe a 0-0. But yeah, I think United looked a little bit on the rocks last week. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Who knows? Maybe he could be ahead of the game with these Man United players. We've had another one coming as well from Luke. Welcome to the stream, Luke. Also, if there's any watchers who don't subscribe, if you could just subscribe to the channel, that would be awesome. And just give the video a like. That would be great. So he's asked, start 2, Perisic, Bailey, or Andreas, or sell Perisic to Walker and bench Andreas. Start 2, Perisic, Bailey, or Andreas, or sell Perisic to Walker and bench Andreas. You know what? I am not 100% sure Perisic is going to start for Spurs, because Sessegnon was brilliant last week. For those on the stream that watched the game, would have seen Sessegnon scored. He also got a second goal at the start of the half, and he was offside, but the run he made was brilliant, and he was doing this the whole game. And he was doing this at the end of last season. So I'm actually not sure if Perisic is going to get in just yet. I don't think Conte is going to want to change a winning side. The only thing Perisic will bring in this Chelsea game is experience, and he's a big game player. But because we've just got so many fullbacks, I'd probably bring Walker in. I think he's going to start for City. You can bank a clean sheet. So I'd probably do the option of sell Perisic to Walker, and give that a go, mate. So yeah, good luck in your decision. But that is what I would do. Q's just come in and says, sorry, not Q. PSB's come back in response. Sorry, 2Q. Martinez is going to get a lot of yellow cards there, Q. Look, you United fans know more than me about your United players. So, yeah, look, we'll see how it goes for you boys against Brentford. So what we will do now is we're going to move into my team, my lineup, and my transfers and captain. So let's bring that up. And Shivam, no problem, mate. Yeah, thanks for coming into the stream. And yeah, keep your questions coming in. We are just about an hour away from deadline. So yeah, if you've got any other questions, any other issues, then yeah, come in. I'm happy to help where I can. We've also got plenty of experience in the comments as well. There's a lot of people in the chat that are happy to help. So yeah, come in with your questions, and let's bring up my team. Okay. So this is my side for this week. Let's zoom in a little bit. And for those that watched last week's live deadline stream with myself and FPL Amateurs of Aus, Quentin, you will realize my team is exactly the same as last week. I've made no changes. I've rolled over. So last week I got 64 points. I actually did I did a preview show in the week. So for those that are new to the stream, also do previews. after the live stream. So I'll do one Tuesdays, which will just summarize the game week, and then we'll talk about a little bit about game week 2, or sorry, the following game week, whether it be game week 3. So this week we summarized game week 1, and then we went into game week 2 and had a bit of chat about that. And then every week we'll be bringing you these live deadline streams as well. So this is my side. It's unchanged. It's a 5-4-1 again. So I started this formation this season because in terms of strikers, I only wanted Haaland. I didn't want anyone else. So I went really cheap and I went big at the back. Am I happy with it? This defense, not entirely. I do like Trippier, who did well last week. And I think Robertson, Alexander-Arnold and Cancelo are going to do big things for me over the coming weeks anyway, and throughout the season. So that doesn't worry me too much. But yeah, I think, going for someone like Cash over, a Saliba, it might not have been the smartest move. Like, I'll see how Cash looks against Everton tonight, because we do know he likes to just get, random massive hauls. But yeah, Villa didn't look too good last week. So because I'm rolling over, the plan is to save 2 transfers. And then that could be an easy sort of downgrade from Cash to maybe a Saliba if he doesn't go up in price. And then I can get rid of Ward and put one of the 4.5 million keepers in there. So if you've got any suggestions as to the 4.5 million keepers you think are good, just put them in the comments, and then I can consider them. Because at the moment, I'm really liking the idea of bringing in Robert Sanchez. My other option is to potentially downgrade Neto if he doesn't do anything this week. Bring in like a Josh Da Silva, and then upgrade Ward to like a, because it'll give me an extra million then, so I can upgrade Ward to like a Mendy or a Ramsdale. So yeah, I've got two or three different options. So as you can see, that's the 5-4-1. No changes. Defense, I think Cancelo, Trent, Robertson can return. Trippier, there's always a free kick or a corner in him. And like I said with Cash, I really don't know what to expect from him and Aston Villa. Ward in goal, I'm just hoping plenty of saves and Leicester can just defend for their lives against Arsenal, because they really are not great when it comes to clean sheets. But at the moment, he was just in there, Ward and Everson, as just that cheap rotation for now. That can be dealt with next week if need to be. And then in midfield, Salah, Son, Neto and Bailey. So obviously I've put a lot of faith into my man Son. For those that followed my side last year, Son was huge for me at the end of the season. So I think I'm just really looking forward to hopefully him getting a return this week against Chelsea, hopefully, or in the preceding week. So I think there'll be a time where Son starts getting those doubles, and those big scores, and there's going to be a dilemma, because people are going to, think, do we now need to captain Son? Because we know how good he is. So he's in my side. Neto's in my side against Fulham. Like, please just get me a return this week against them. And then Leon Bailey. But they're 2 cheap players where any points they get just feel like a bonus anyway. And then the captain dilemma, this morning it was on Salah. And then after some talk on Twitter, some talk with friends on my Instagram page as well, I thought, look, I've got Haaland in this team for a reason. I've invested into him for a reason. He's going to be my captain. So 5-4-1. Let me know how you think it's going to go in the comments. Let me know if it maybe is a little bit weak with the with the Neto and Matt Cash and Ward picks, because that's kind of how I'm feeling at the moment. I hope it beats the average, and I hope I can get a good score. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to bring up a couple of comments now. So let's bring up this one from PSB. Let's see what we got. So PSB's come in. Wolves and Forest in game week 3 and game week 4 for Perisic is huge. If you can bench Perisic, then I would do it. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. The only thing, PSB, is just our fullback. So Spurs have got on the left side, obviously Sessegnon, Perisic. So look, there's probably not as much of a threat there. And then on the right side, you've got Royale, Doherty, and now Spence. And I'm just looking at it thinking, how much will Conte want to rotate this fullback position if the team is winning and doing well? Like, say we win in this Chelsea game, is he just going to keep it as it is until the Champions League starts? And that's when we're going to start seeing rotation, especially as we get nearer to the World Cup. But At the same time, Perisic can play in more than one position. He can play left side, right side. He can play in a front three. And Conte's known to make a lot of subs after the 60-minute. And he used the subs last week. He used the 5-sub rule and made plenty of changes. So, yeah, maybe one to keep an eye on. But yeah, good point, PSB. Thanks for the comment. I have another one from Q. The second half, hopefully, be a sign of how we start. Yeah, we'll see. I think you mean if you think you're going back to the Man United stuff, aren't you? So can't comment too much on United at the moment. Myself looked really good. Leeds look a bit better defensively. Yeah, I agree. I think he was brilliant. Obviously, he gets a lot of saves. I think the key for Leeds at the back was just organising the defence and getting them organised, because they probably don't have the best fullbacks and they don't have the best centre backs in the league. Like, they've still got players they had kicking about from the Championship, but we've seen with Brentford last season, and we saw with Sheffield United when they got promoted. If you can just organise the defence, there's those teams in the bottom half of the league that struggle to score goals, like Palace. Your Brightons. They never get the big numbers. They might be able to keep some clean sheets in those games. And Myself loves a save point as well, so that is a good point. And then this is another really good shout as well. Bazzuno from Southampton. He was unreal against Spurs last week. The amount of saves he made, he was like a colossus in goal, just save after save after save. So he could be interesting if Southampton can just tighten that defence up a bit, and when their fixtures get easier. But the other problem with Saints is when they play the big sides and they go 1 or 2 goals down early, they end up losing the game 4 or 5 goals, and all those save points end up getting lost because he ends up letting in a lot of goals. But he actually did look really good. So yeah, if Saints can have those games where they keep it tight, then he will get a lot of save points. He looked brilliant. We'll go through a couple more of these questions, and then I will get this week's fixtures up, and then I believe Quentin is going to be joining this podcast soon, and he will join in on some of the FPL fun that we're having tonight. So here's one from Mo Abed. Thanks for joining the stream, Mo. So he has Bailey, Andreas, James, and Gabriel. Which 2 would you play? It's tough. I always like to play attackers. I always like to play at least one of the midfielders, or if it was a forward player. But in this instance, Reece James is the man you've put the money into. So I would say he starts. I wouldn't even blink. I'd be starting him. He's Reece James. When he's fit, you play him. It doesn't matter who the fixture is. And I mentioned it earlier, like, although I'm a Spurs fan, I can openly admit we do not do well at Stamford Bridge. So yeah, I'd say Reece James, play him. And then, yeah, look, you're probably going to have to say Gabriel. He's good in the air. He can attack set pieces. Arsenal, they do have a good defence. I think they were top 7 for defences last season. Gabriel would come out with a lot of there was a lot of games where Gabriel would, randomly get like 15-point hauls and stuff. So I'd probably start those 2 if that was my side. And these were the 4 players I had to decide from. That's what I'd do. And then I'd have Bailey as the first sub, and then Andreas next in line. And it's tough because Bailey could come out at home against Everton and score against Everton, or get assists, and he could get hauls. But I think you've got to back Reece James, and I think Gabriel has a good chance of a clean sheet against Leicester. And they're really bad at defending set pieces, Leicester as well. Sorry if there's any Leicester fans in the watching the stream, but they're one of the worst sides along with Leeds last year when it comes to defending set pieces. I think Gabriel did score, actually. He scored against Leicester last year at the King Power. I think he got the first goal, and Arsenal won 2-0. So I'll be backing James and Gabriel. We'll go through a couple more of the questions before Q does join us. I don't think he's too far off, so I'm just going to check. I'm not too sure how far off he is before we go through the fixtures. He's here in the comments. We're just waiting for him to join the stream. So what are you looking at for a keeper? A defence that will concede lots of shots, but not a lot of high risk shots, or a team that concedes less goals but don't give up a lot of shots? Yeah, well, preferably I'd like a keeper that keeps clean sheets every week whilst getting lots of shots at him. But that's asking for a lot. So I would probably say maybe a team that concedes less goals, that doesn't give up a lot of shots. So that's probably where I'm sort of swaying more towards Robert Sanchez, because Brighton do have a very tight defence. So that's probably where I'm at, which is why I prefer a Sanchez or a David Raya as opposed to Bazunu at Saints or Messiah at Leeds. That's probably where I'm at the moment. But again, that's a game week 3 problem, Q. That's a game week 3 problem. I've got another one here from PSB. Cash and Cucurella at the same price. There can be an easy switch when Villa's fixtures turn worse. Cucurella playing either in left central defence or left wing back with Chilwell's injuries issues is a decent switch. I agree. I think that's a really good switch. I do want to make sure Cucurella's starting though. I want to, and that's a good thing is he can play in 2 positions, and we know he's a good player. We know how good he is in the ball as well. So yeah, that's one to think about, because it does get me that Chelsea coverage. So the other idea I did have was potentially going Mendy in goal. So going Mendy in goal, and then downgrading Neto for De Silva. So I've got that Chelsea coverage already, keeping cash for another game week. And then in game week 4, when Arsenal play Fulham at home, I believe they have, then I can bring in Zinchenko for Matt Cash. So that was one of my other ideas. But yeah, Cucurella's a good shout because you get some Chelsea coverage. Yeah, good shout. Any other questions, just get them in the comments. Happy to go through them now and keep bringing them up as we go. We're about 50 minutes, or actually more close to 45 minutes away from deadline now. So any last minute dramas or issues you've got, get them in. Like I said, I'm happy to help. And there's plenty of people in the comments, that want to help as well. I've got another question that's come in, and it's in my notes. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for now, and then it will just be myself on the screen. I did have a question from one of my followers on Instagram, and what he has asked, I'm just pulling it up now on the phone. So the question was from scishow.vrt, and he's asked me, follow the crowd or make it differential. And I think what he means by that is follow the crowd with Haaland or make it differential in terms of just pick an absolute wild differential captain. I would just follow the crowd this early on. I'd follow the crowd this early on in the piece. Don't think it's worth going too wild when it comes to those choices. I think you can pick a few differentials maybe in the midfield or defensive area, but when it comes to these big captain decisions right now, I'd just play it safe. I'd go with the you've got like it's like the elite managers. I think FPL Planner, who's watching the stream, he did a really good post today on Twitter. So if you don't follow him, give him a follow, FPL Planner. And he mentioned about a lot of the elite managers or managers in the top 10K season after season, more than likely be going Haaland and then Salah in second choice. So I'd just be playing it. Follow the crowd this week. I think it's a no-brainer. And then we can start to go differential as things like the Champions League kick in, injuries, fixtures get difficult. The World Cup's on the way. There's plenty of factors that are going to come into it this season. Okay, so what we'll do now, there's we'll wait and see if there's any other questions that come in the next 20 or 30 seconds. Get them in. But if we don't, I'm going to share my screen again, and we'll start and go through the fixtures, because it doesn't look like Quentin is going to make it on to the deadline stream. Just now, he just said he's going to be 10 minutes, which is 6 minutes from when he messaged me. So I'm going to start anyway, Q, because I think it's a good time to get onto the fixtures and go through some some players from some of these games. So let's go. All right, let's get this screen shared. And let's run through this. All right, so first up, we've got Aston Villa versus Everton. So what we're going to do every week on these streams, we did it last week. We'll do a bit of a score prediction, usually myself and whoever's featuring with me. This week it's going to be Q when he jumps on. And last week it was also Q. And if you ever want to jump onto one of these podcasts as well, just give me a message on Instagram, FPL Matt Day, Twitter, FPL Matt Day. And just shoot me a message. Oh, here he is. Q's joined. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, Q is here. He's from the FPL Amateurs of Aus. Him and Damo, FPL West Ham, they would do a really, really good podcast. So if you don't follow this guy, give him a follow. Yeah, really, really easy listen, and yeah, lots of fun and lots of good picks. But how are you going, Q? Are you all ready for game week 2? It's yeah, it's good to see you.
Yeah, no, it's not too bad. As I spoke to you probably the last 2 days, I've had that tough decision on who I'm going for captain, but I think I'm just going to stick with my boy Salah. So, it could be a nervous watching the Bournemouth game, but I do have Haaland, but I'm sort of backing just Salah. I have a feeling that they're going to get a rocket up from this week at training after what I thought was a poor performance from their standards against Fulham. So I think that they might be on the front foot early on, and I could see him sort of bagging a couple of goals.
Fair enough, mate. So you've gone for the Salah because so like you said, Haaland was your transfer for Kane then, wasn't it? So you bring Haaland in for Kane. So you got in there just before Haaland went to 11.6, and then you did that switch, and you've obviously come in now with Salah. So fair enough, mate. You're going. It's weird to say going against the grain by not captaining, by captaining Salah, because you technically are going against the grain. So hopefully, hopefully it works out for you.
But yeah, the initial thought was going Haaland to captain, but the more I sort of thought about it, Salah I'd say underperformed last week, and was lucky enough to get the goal and assist, but we saw plenty of times last year where Salah just goes to another level, and Bournemouth showed that they can be a little bit tricky. They might not keep a clean sheet, but they can be a little bit tricky, I think, and I'm banking on them to sort of more just get in the road of Manchester City rather than be the better side.
No, good stuff, mate. All right, so what we'll do now, we'll move on to the fixtures. I'll just give a quick rundown. We'll go a score prediction on each one, and then we'll just pick a couple of players that we think are going to be good for this game week. So let's go with Villa Everton. I'll start. I think Villa are going to win 2-0, and I think Bailey and maybe Martinez in goal for Villa could be a couple of good picks this week. What are your thoughts, Q? What do you think the score is going to be?
I think it's going to be 3-1. I think a lot of times last season I sort of said how Villa can be Jekyll and Hyde. They can be, very poor in attack one week and then the next week look like one of the best attacking sides in the Prem. So I think that they've done a lot of work this week at training, and yeah, I can see them sort of getting a few goals this week. And I think Bailey is going to definitely contribute. I have a feeling he's going to get a goal and assist, maybe a corner in to like a Watkins or an Ings. But yeah, no, I think that they're going to win. And I think Everton, even though losing 3-1, I think it's going to be a good game.
Good stuff. All right, so we'll go on to Arsenal-Leicester. I will go with 2-1 Arsenal. I think Maddison for Leicester. I've got a feeling about him. I think he's fixture proof. He looked really sharp last week, so I'll go Maddison with a goal. Maybe like Vardy loves a big game as well, so maybe Maddison and Vardy are the two to look out for. And then maybe Jesus to get a home goal, and then Saka to wrap it up. So I think there's some good fantasy assets from this one. What are your thoughts on that one, Q?
Yeah, I'm picking a high-scoring draw, so 2-2, and I think Maddison's going to be involved, and I think Jesus is going to finally get his first goal of the season, but I think Saka is going to be very much involved in the two goals that they do score, so I could see them getting a goal apiece and maybe an assist to Saka as well.
Awesome. All right. So next one, we'll go Brighton versus Newcastle. I'll let you start with the prediction on this one because I know you've got a lot of faith in these Newcastle assets. So yeah, let's go. What do you think on this one?
I think this could be actually quite a tricky game. I think it's going to be maybe a 0 or 1-0 to Newcastle possibly, but I think it's going to be a really good game, but just not a lot of goals. I think it's going to be a bit of a chess match early on. And yeah, I could see if Newcastle do get a goal, I could see Wilson involved in that. And I think Trippier could be involved as well. But I think a 0 is probably what I'm backing in this game. I think that Brighton has showed they're pretty good defensively, but, which is good for people that've got the assets. They've got the likes of Trippier and Botman and even some of the assets from Brighton. So, yeah, I think it's going to be quite a tricky fixture, but I could see a 0 draw.
Good stuff. I think 1-0 Newcastle. I've heard Newcastle's record isn't great at Brighton. They actually haven't won at the Amex, but yeah, I'm feeling maybe a 1-0 win. And I think you're right. I think Wilson's going to be a good pick for this week. These are the types of games that, he just pops up and grabs a goal. So yeah, I think you're right that one, right on that one as well. Next one, Man City Bournemouth. This is the fixture. Obviously, everyone's chatting about, waiting for. Haaland's going to score 6 goals, this type of stuff. So yeah, we'll give you this one as well. What do you think on this one?
I think it's going to be about 3-0 to City. We've seen in fixtures in the past where the most obvious asset is usually a KDB, and in this case, a Haaland. But you see the likes of a Foden or a Mahrez having one of those games where they get the 2 goals, and everyone's kind of, wondering why didn't they have Foden, and everyone sort of went to the more obvious pick. So, I think Haaland is still going to get a return, but I think that it's going to be a bit shared around. I could see Foden if he starts getting a goal or an assist or something like that.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. City do like to share goals around. And that's probably the one worry about captaining one of their players. And we have that worry every season. But I think they'll win as well. I will go with 4-0 to Man City. I'll back Haaland to get 2. De Bruyne maybe to get the other. And then, yeah, someone like Gundogan to maybe just pop in and grab a goal. So, yeah, I'll go with 4-0 to City. And I think that'll be the main assets, De Bruyne, Haaland, and I can see something from a Gundogan. So we'll go on to Southampton Leeds. I'll start with this one. I think it will be a free-flowing game. I'm going to go with a 2-2. I think, is it Denipo from Southampton? Looked really good last week, so I think he might be one to watch for maybe a goal or an assist. So keep your eyes on him. From a Leeds perspective, I think Bamford, Aronson, who's been mentioned, and Rodrigo are the ones for me. So I'm going to go with 2-2.
Yep, no, I like it. I think this could be a very high-scoring game, similar to you. I'm going to go 3-2 to Leeds. I think that was it the game against Everton at the end of the season that they had, or I'm not sure who it was, where they won 3-2. Might have been Wolves, possibly. I could see, high-scoring game in that. And I think Aronson, as you said, I think it's going to be a good pickup, which I've, picked my differential this week. And I think Aronson is a great pickup. I think he looked lively enough where a few more things go his way this week, he could end up with, a goal and assist and, 2-3 bonus.
Good stuff. All right. So we'll go on to Wolves versus Fulham. So this is another one that's on the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the UK, which is, I think it might be midnight here in the east coast of Australia, or 11 p.m. So we'll go Wolves Fulham. I reckon maybe 2-1 Wolves. Mitrovic to score for Fulham. So I think he'll be one of the main men again. And then Wolves, I'm liking Podence, and I'm just going to say Neto because he's in my team and I want him to score in this game. So 2-1 Wolves with Podence, Neto, and Mitrovic being the FPL players to watch.
I'm picking this. I wouldn't say it's an upset, but I'm picking a 3-1 win to Fulham. I think Fulham showed enough for me in that game against Liverpool that against the side that I'd say Wolves probably aren't as set defensively as what Liverpool is on average, I guess. But I could see them getting a few goals, and I think Mitrovic is going to be the center of it. And, Pereira showed us last week how devastating on the ball he can be, and especially if he's set pieces.
Looked good.
So
he looked good.
I think Wolves will have their chances. Just depends on how good defensively Fulham are. But, yeah, I could see Fulham scoring a few goals.
Good stuff. Yeah, I think it's a good point about Andres Pereira. Obviously, he's had a lot of mentions on the stream because a lot of the people that have been putting the comments in tonight have asked about, do I bring him off my bench? Do I start him? What do I do? And he did look lively, and he's playing in a very attacking role, like you mentioned. So good point there. All right, we'll go Brentford, Man United. I'll start. Obviously, you're the United fan, so very close to home this one. So I will go. I think it's going to be a tough game for Man United, but I think they'll win. I think you'll win. I'm going to go 2-1. I think Brentford will score. I think Tony's definitely the one to watch from Brentford. He's going to cause problems for Martinez. I think obviously you don't want Tony, a ball coming into the box between Tony and Martinez, because Tony's going to win the aerial battle nearly every single time. So you're going to want Maguire on him, but I think Tony will score for Brentford. But I think United will win. And I think Rashford and maybe Sancho could be the ones this week. So I'll go 2-1 United, maybe with a couple of Eriksen assists in there. What do you think, Hugh?
Yeah, no, very similar. I think I saw enough in that second half last week with the additions of Eriksen and Ronaldo that this week, if they go ahead and put Eriksen in that central, I think we could actually get out to a bit of a 2-0 lead in the first half. I can see Brentford scoring, But yeah, I'm picking a 3-1 win to United with the likes of Sancho and Rashford getting on the end of some precision passing from Eriksen in the midfield. So yeah, I actually think that Eriksen, if he starts centrally, I think, we've got a pretty good chance.
Awesome. All right. So next one, Nottingham Forest versus West Ham. I'll give you this one to start then, Q, because I've been banging on about West Ham tonight quite a lot. Three of their players.
It was Damo on the stream, mate.
He was. FPL Damo West Ham was on the stream, and I was just talking all about West Ham assets because they're against Forest. So, what are your thoughts on this one? And who are the assets for you to you think are going to stand out?
I think I could see this fixture maybe being a bit tricky early on, but I think West Ham probably going to get the victory. But I can see the talking points out of this game is going to be Brennan Johnson. I think he's going to get a goal and look really good this game. I think Nico Williams is going to, have his moments. But I think Bowen, this is going to be a Bowen masterclass type game where, gets a goal and assist and, just looks absolutely damaging. So, I'm backing West Ham to win, but I think there'll be a little bit of not a statement for not Forest, but I think that they will show that, they've got a bit of attack there.
Yeah, good stuff. It's a good point. It's good to hear some positive Nottingham Forest talk because, we've not had huge amounts of that. It's a shame because they're a massive club, and they deserve to be back in the Premier League, and it's great to see them back in. In saying that, I've just said it's great to praise them, but I'm actually going to probably go with 2-0 West Ham. Bowen at the double. I think Cresswell might provide an assist. And I think West Ham will walk away with the win. So I think it's all West Ham in this one. And Bowen, Cresswell, and maybe even the new signing Scamacca are ones to keep an eye out. So there's that one. And then we'll move on. Last two fixtures before we wrap up the video for tonight. So we've got Chelsea versus Spurs. I'll get this one done quickly. I know our record is absolutely awful at the Bridge. I'm actually not that confident about this game. I'm going to go with a 1-1. I'm going to go Chelsea 1, Spurs 1. I think Son will score for Spurs, and I will say, maybe a set piece from Chelsea. Maybe a Thiago Silva header. So, and I think maybe, a James or Mount assist, depending on who gets the corners, because we saw how many corners Chelsea had last week and how bad they all were. So I think this week they'll get one of them right because they're due a goal from a corner. So 1-1, I think Son is one to keep an eye out. Obviously Kane, the usuals. And then from a Chelsea perspective, Reece James, Mason Mount. And then, I can see a goal from like a Thiago Silva or someone from a set piece. So, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think I'm similar to you. I'm probably going to go a 2-1 Chelsea win. I think that they didn't look great in attack last week. So I think that they're going to want to try come out and make a statement. And, what's the biggest stage to make that statement is in the derby game against Spurs. So, but I actually could see this being a real end-to-end game. And, it wouldn't surprise me even if it finishes 2-2 in this game. But I think Son is going to be a bit of a focal point. And I think Mount is going to show why people that kept the faith this week, I think he's going to get a goal this week as well. So I think it's going to be a good game to watch, but, I could see maybe Chelsea just getting the points.
You've always got the faith in Mount. I've got another close friend of mine who's really debating, do I transfer Mason Mount out? Or do I keep him? And he's been asking me every day. And I said to him, you know what? Like, 'cause he loves Mason Mount as well, like you do with FPL. And I think Mason Mount's a great player, but I've never been a huge fan of him from an FPL perspective because he's just so up and down. But I said to him, you know what? Our record's so bad against Chelsea. I'd probably just keep him and then just keep him for this run of fixtures. So, yeah, good points on Mason Mount. All right, let's go.
I'd say that last week is probably the worst I've seen him play in a while.
And he still nearly scored. He still had that shot that Pickford saved down low. So yeah, he didn't have his best game, but he did still nearly score. And I think he should get corners back after those like awful Reece James corners.
I mean, it's
which
a
Reece James owners won't like.
I've got both, so
you got both. So
one of them get it.
Yeah, you're looking good, but it will be a really good game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also not because I just dreading how bad our record is at the Bridge. And then we'll end on Liverpool versus Palace at Anfield. I'm going to go with a 4-0 Liverpool. I know I'm captain Haaland, but I think Salah will be at the double. I think Darwin Núñez will score 2 goals as well. And then I think Trent and Robertson will be involved in those assists somewhere. So, yeah, this is I think this is going to be one-way traffic. I think Liverpool will win at Anfield. They're probably the ones to keep an eye on. Sorry, Palace fans. There's probably no one from Palace I would probably look at this week. But what are your thoughts, Q, on the score and the players to look out for?
I think this is going to be a 2-0 win to Liverpool. I can see Liverpool learning from the mistakes they made last week where they gave Pereira and Mitrovic a lot of space. So I think they're going to clamp down on the likes of Zaha and Eze, and I think they're going to make it a bit tough for them early on. And I could see Liverpool getting off to an early lead and then possibly getting another goal in the first half. And then, the second half could be a bit of a stalemate. I'm not sure how it's going to go. Like Liverpool could go on and score another goal or two, but it's going to all come down to if they can limit the impact that Zaha and Eze can have, because if they let them do what Pereira and Mitrovic did last week, I think Liverpool could be in trouble again early. But, I'm back in there likes of Salah, and I think Darwin, if he does start, I could see him getting a goal again this week.
It's a good point, actually. Obviously, Fulham did run Liverpool ragged last week, and even I've kind of forgot about that, and it was only last week. And Liverpool, I'm just looking at the Anfield factor, the Monday night. But yeah, you make a fair point. Zaha and Eze are just tricky players. They've got so much skill and flair, and they will cause problems for Liverpool. So some very good points. But that's our wrap up. So yeah, thanks for joining, Q. Obviously, I know you only sort of come on for the last 10 minutes, but it's great to have you on. We love your insights. So really good stuff. Thanks to everyone that tuned in. Obviously, we had a lot of questions in the sort of first half an hour of this pod, and it was great. We love the interactions. So keep them coming. Keep the comments up. Keep the likes up. If you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, that would be absolutely awesome. Give myself a follow, FPL Matt Day on Instagram, Twitter. I'm also on TikTok now. And then Quentin is FPL_amateur_Aus. He's got the website. He's got the Twitter. He's got the Instagram. So go check it out. Really good stuff. There's FPL West Ham as well, which is Damo. So FPL West Ham on Twitter. Go and check him out as well. That's tonight's stream done. And just before I go, we've got a watch along, Premier League watch along, Aston Villa versus Everton. So we will be live at 9:20 Melbourne time or Eastern Standard Time, Australia, which is 10 minutes before kickoff in the UK. So come and join. It will be on this channel. It will be on FPL Amateurs of Auss's Facebook and Twitch as well. It's going to be on a few different locations. So come and join in with the fun. We'll talk some football. We'll talk some FPL. We'll talk some random stuff as well. And it'll be really, really good to have you all there. So, thanks for joining, Q. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in tonight. It's been really good. Like I said, we'll be back with a watch along, and then we'll be back with a review of the game week and a preview of next week's game week, probably on Tuesday at some point. So, thanks everyone for tuning in.